here's the number one way your team is possibly set up to fail, even with KPIs. Hey, I'm Lisa Zelenak, the founder of Here to Scale, and in this video, we're going to talk about the number one mistake when it comes to KPIs. So now that you have KPIs for your organization, that's great, but the only thing worse than having KPIs is having KPIs that your team doesn't know about. Maybe this rings a bell. Maybe you've set amazing projections and you're very clear on the metrics that you need for your company, but your team doesn't know them. They're not bought in. And worse than that, not only do they not know them, but they're not sure how to impact the KPIs, how to actually control what they do day to day to actually impact the metrics moving forward. So the best place to start when it comes to KPIs is to use them in what we call a job scorecard. A job scorecard should be in existence for every member of your team. Here's the simplest way I would put a job scorecard is what's the description of the role, like the mission, why does that role exist? And of course, what metrics are we here to impact? So you can have many metrics, but I absolutely recommend in the job scorecard that you have the clear top 1 to 3 metrics for that position. And not just the metric, like number of booked appointments, but what is the actual metric that they need to be achieving month over month, even day over day if it breaks down that easily. So break down the metrics, create them in a job scorecard, and then what you can also create is not just the description and the metrics, but what are the competencies that are going to make someone effective to hit those metrics. That's about the quick 80-20, maybe the 150 of what it takes to create a job scorecard. And having that and making sure that the day one, even before someone's hired, putting that type of content in the job description so that someone is crystal clear on what they're coming here to do, what metrics they're coming here to achieve. If you have a goal of 50 million in revenue, it's probably going to be really helpful for the person that's owning that metric, whether that be the CRO, the CMO, maybe the sales director, whoever's owning that metric. It will be really helpful for them to have that in their job scorecard. So lay out the metrics, get buy-in. If you have never done this and you're just now rolling it out, okay, have a meeting. Hopefully you have a one-on-one meeting with your direct reports. That would be a really good place to roll it out. Here's what we've got for the metrics. You can also create a 30, 60, 90-day plan. So essentially like an onboarding to where you want them to be. Especially if this is the first they're seeing of the metrics. Here's where we expect you to be in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then so on and so forth. So getting buy-in to the metrics, asking them if they think there's any more impactful metrics than the ones that you have listed out that are going to directly contribute to revenue, profitability, or client success. Once you have those in place, then the next step is making sure that they know how to track and alter the metrics, especially anything that's off track. So the easiest way to do this is, of course, to have beautiful Excel sheets that break it all the way down to a daily number so they know if they were green or red. Green or red. And if you can't create it daily, create it weekly. What's the green or red line that they should be at to know if they're on track and they're doing well? I don't know of any employee that wants to guess at what it takes to be a good employee. So metrics, clear like goalposts, are going to be really, really helpful for them to know how to achieve and be successful in the business. And then the last thing that I'm just going to touch on in this video, I'll go on in depth in another video, is when it comes to the meetings. When it comes to your weekly meetings, whether it's your leadership team meetings, the sale meeting, the client success meeting, those weekly meetings that you have, this is the space in which if any metrics are off track, if we're not on track for revenue, if we're not on track for the number of appointments that we want to create or the demos that we're trying to have booked, whatever the metric is, that's where the person who is accountable will scream loudly. You don't actually have to scream loudly, but we call it screaming loudly. Let the team know that we're off track and this is one of our most important metrics that we need to get back on track. Because as long as the person knows how to get the metric back on track by themselves, they can go off in their own corner. But usually at that point, they'll probably need the team's input. So that is the space to do it in the meeting structure. Using traction, scaling up. I have a different video on how to run a good meeting. But when you actually come on the meeting and are clear, this is the metric that's off track, therefore this is the issue that if we solve today will support me to make sure we get the metric back on track. That is how you can best utilize meeting time to get all your metrics back on track. So KPIs, Love them, hate them, I recommend that you love them because they are so impactful. And when you start to use them on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, you'll realize that business is so much more fun. If you like this video, check out the rest of the series on how to scale with KPIs.